Morning. This is Philippine Politics and Governance. Our topic is the voice of the people is the supreme law. This is in Latin phrase salus populi et est suprema lex. The objective of this study is for you to be able to describe the nature of election in the Philippines, identify the types of electoral systems, and discuss the implications of the electoral systems on politics, laws, and governance. Have you heard the word suffrage? Suffrage is the right to vote and the right to be voted for. It is the only common event in which the masses have a direct influence and participation on the politics and governance activity nationwide. It has a very important and meaningful impact on the various minority groups in different countries throughout history and the whole political system. Each vote represents the voice of the people, salus populi est suprema lex, a Latin maxim which means the voice of the people is the supreme law. Thus, the people must have to guard the whole election process and protect the right to participate suffrage. Therefore, suffrage is your right, your obligation, your responsibility. We have a set of rules under Comelec being its mandated authority to run the election under our Constitution. In a democratic form of governance, like our country, the Philippines, every person that holds the right of suffrage should be aware of the importance of this topic and, if possible, should not waive or sell his right to vote, as in most cases during election period. They should be educated and be well informed about their choices. Former American President Theodore Roosevelt said, quote, "A vote is like a rifle. Its usefulness depends upon the character of the user." Quote. The voters are expected to look beyond the slogans and signs, posters, TV ads, and anything that candidates promote. Rather, they should weigh in the wisdom, political will, capacity to manage responsibilities, and most of all, the values of each candidate possesses. Si Bongo ba, meron ito, si Trillanes, si Lacson, or si VP Robredo, or si Senator Pacquiao. The manifested power of the people to choose their upcoming leader after election shows the people's responsibility in establishing a good government and the progress for the country. If you have chosen a corrupt official, you have voted for him, aware of his dubious intention and questionable character, you have only to blame yourself. On the other hand, the elected officials must serve as the representatives of the people and expected to serve with utmost diligence based on their corresponding responsibility. In other words, suffrage encompasses not only the process of selecting public officer, but also the expression of the choice of people on a proposed law or enactment submitted to them for decision. Moreover, the right of suffrage is not a natural right, but a privilege given to the citizen. Hence, it is a mere right. It can be waived or it is not either compulsory to exercise. Meaning, if you are incarcerated or since someone goes to jail for conviction of a crime, he or she is being stripped of his right to vote. Now, Comelec. The Comelec is the sole agency that enforces and administers all laws and regulations relative to the conduct of elections in our country. And these provisions can be found in 1987 Constitution in Article 5 under Section 1, which says suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law, or at least 18 years of age, and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. So if you're planning, if you are a citizen or if you are residing outside the country and planning to cast your vote, you should establish residency prior to the election time. No literacy, property, or other substantive requirements shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage. Section 2. The Congress shall provide a system for securing the secrecy and sanctity of the ballot as well as a system of absentee voting by qualified Filipinos abroad. The OFWs may cast their votes prior to election time. Okay. Then Congress shall also design a procedure for the disabled and the illiterates to vote without the assistance of other persons. Until then, they shall be allowed to vote under existing laws, and such rules as the Commission on Elections may promulgate to protect the secrecy of the law. The functions of the Congress. Based on Section 2, Article 9 of the Constitution, 1. Enforce and administer all laws and regulations relative to the conduct of an election, plebiscite, initiative, referendum, and recall. 2. Exercise exclusive original jurisdiction over all contests relating to the elections, returns, and qualifications of all elected regional, provincial, and city officials and affiliate jurisdiction. Over all contests involving elected municipal officials decided by trial courts of general jurisdiction or involving elected barangay officials decided with trial courts of limited jurisdiction. Decisions, final orders, or rulings of the Commission on Elections contests involving elected municipal and barangay office shall be final, executory, and not appealable. Do you hear some protest during or after the elections by dissatisfied candidates? Then decide, accept those involved in the right to vote, all questions affecting elections, including the determination of the number of locations of polling places, appointment of election officials, inspectors, and registration of voters. Then the committee is to deputize the concurrence of the President, law enforcement agencies, and instrumentalities by the government because this alone, this whole process cannot be exercised by the Comelec alone. So they have to tap the armed forces of the Philippines or and the Philippine National Police for the exclusive purpose of ensuring free, orderly, honest, peaceful, and credible elections. Then register after sufficient publication political parties, organizations, or coalitions, which in addition to other requirements must present their platforms or program of government and accredited citizens arms of the Commission on Elections. Religious denominations, and sects shall not be registered. Those who seek to achieve their goals through violence or unlawful means or refuse to uphold and adhere to this Constitution or which are supported by any foreign government shall likewise be refused registration. Financial contributions from foreign governments and their agencies to political parties, organizations, coalitions, candidates related to elections constitute interference in national affairs, and when accepted, they shall be an additional ground for the cancellation of their registration with the Commission in addition to other penalties that may be prescribed by law. So no contributions from outside the country. So if you are a candidate, you should not collect or receive contribution from other countries, from persons outside the country or nationalities outside the country. So only locally is local contributions are accepted, and this will also be declared with the family. Then file upon a verified complaint or its own initiative petitions in court for exclusion of voters, investigate where appropriate, prosecute cases of violation of election laws, including acts of commission constituting election frauds, offenses, and malpractices like vote buying, coercion, etc. Recommend that the Congress effective measures to minimize election spending, including limitations of places where propaganda material shall be posted, and to prevent and penalize all forms of election frauds, offenses, malpractices, and nuisance candidates. Then I recommend to the President the removal of any officer or employee as it has deputized, or the imposition of any other disciplinary action for violation or disregard of or disobedience to its directive, order, or decision. Then submit to the President and Congress a comprehensive report on the conduct of each election, plebiscite, initiative, referendum, or recall. Um, in our country, during election, we adopt a plurality system. A candidate who gets the highest or more vote is declared as the winner. Here, the winner is the one with the most votes, whether he, she, or she had a majority or not. To clarify things, majority system means 50% of all votes plus at least one or more votes. That means 50 plus 1, 50% plus 1. In one reason or another, we also acknowledge the proportional representation through political parties, in which the people vote for parties, and each party will be given the same or almost the same percentage of position in the government as the percentage of votes they garnered during the election. There are further formulas in determining the percentage and the positions that will be given to the winners, since it is more complex in real life application. Now we have political parties in the Philippines, and here are the most common parties in our country: Nationalista Party, Liberal Party, Magdalo, Lakas CMD, the PDP Laban, the Nationalist People's Coalition, the Laban ng Demokratikong Pilipino, the Akbayan, and the Philippine Democratic Socialist Party are the parties with largest membership in Congress. These political entities represent common sectors of the country. You only need to obtain at least 2% votes from the total registered voters in the country and wins at least one seat at the House of Representatives, and such party list is equivalent to a congressman. Furthermore, the Constitution allows only one president, one vice president for a 6-year term of office with 24 senators and at least 250 House of Representatives members by statutes without a need for a constitutional amendment. They are all elected on a nationwide and at large basis. They represent the whole country without any geographical district. On the other hand, half of the Senate is renewed every 3-year term. The election for the members of Congress and local officials, except barangay officials, occur every second Monday of every third year after May 1992. And presidential and vice presidential elections occur every second Monday of May every sixth year after May 1992. So everything has started way back in 1992. All elected officials except those at the barangay level start and end their terms of office on 30th of June of the election year. Thus far our lesson. Thank you for listening, and please vote wisely in the coming elections. Thank you.